Hey, what is up, everybody? I think we are live. And guess what? First of all, I've got Original Dobo with me.
Oh wait, this camera.
And second of all, for the first
I just woke
time
up.
on Speed Dial, we're not just a couple of blippy blips. In the past, it's always just been audio. This is the first time that we've had actual video on it. So kind of
Been able to
excited there.
FaceTime. This is cool, yeah.
Yeah, so we were able to. I was able to be on your show a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, yeah.
We've been kind of talking back and forth. You agreed to be my guinea pig today on this thing, as far as getting in and trying the video out. So from your end, when I sent you that link, what did you do? Just clicked on it?
I just clicked on the link, and as soon as it opened up, it asked me. It said enter the code in on the screen, but there I didn't even have to enter the code. Apparently, you must have saw me dialing or FaceTiming you, and bam, in we were in.
Cool, cool. No,
That was actually pretty easy.
there's a little button at the bottom of the screen that says add viewer, and I hit that and I
Okay.
texted you. So I've got to have your phone number. That's one of the, so I can
Okay,
text you
okay,
with it.
okay.
But yeah, man. So July 4th, you said you went out on a boat earlier today. How was that?
Well, actually, we just went. We found a restaurant that was out on the water,
Oh,
and
nice.
sort of did some lunch. It was super hot. It's 95 degrees out. So
Yeah.
we thought it'd be a great idea to eat by the water, and we were just baking. Like it was so hot. I'm sunburnt, and I didn't. I'm like, it's super hot out. Super
It's
hot.
same here. So I got out this morning to fly, and we were just talking about. I just got this day before yesterday, so I got it all
Yeah.
set up yesterday, and got it on the Gep RC rocket here,
Okay. Yeah, that's fun.
stuffed into this tiny little drone.
That's
Um,
crazy.
Man, this thing rocks. I actually had the
The
analog
little hot
version of
dog.
this same thing,
Yeah.
and it's a blast. I went
Is
out
that
this morning.
the Signet frame?
Uh, it's well, that's a good question. I know it's from Gep RC. I thought they made their
Okay.
own frames, but it may be. That's
Yeah. Yeah. No. Okay. Yeah. It is. I had the frame that was similar to that, and I broke an arm on it, so I said screw it. I scrapped it.
Dude, I crashed this about 5 times today. One time, I don't know why, I just decided to punch out and go as high as I could, and then I kind of freaked out. And of course, there's this whole empty schoolyard that I'm flying in, right?
Yeah.
And so I killed the throttle to bring it back down because I'm kind of like I could see through the goggles, but I kind of lost orientation. I was trying to be a little too fancy,
Hmm.
and it comes down, big empty field, lots of grass, and it lands right on a picnic table,
Did,
of every
have you used that before? The got like have you used digital before this?
only briefly with Ed Ricker's goggles, and Ken
Okay,
Herron let me try his one time
but
at Spin Up, but only
so,
that was maybe 15 minutes total before today.
all right. Are you flying 4x3 or 16x9?
I switched it to 16:9.
Do you feel like it's more immersive in that like sometimes if you take a step you're like holy crap, like I get really dizzy with the digital goggles because all of a sudden like I'll forget, I feel like I'm in Avatar or something, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
and if I take a step I'll like whoa, I got to bring myself back because I start getting really like nauseous, like
man.
I want
I
to ride.
I did bring a lawn chair with me, actually. So
Okay.
normally I do this standing up, but I find myself just kind of tipping over. So I brought a lawn chair, and that helped a lot, just to be kind of like reclined back in the seat,
Yeah, I
chilling.
look. People like will video me while I'm flying. They're like, "You look like you're a zombie or something," because I'm like sort of locked in. I'm like all hunched over, and
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah, and
making
your mouth
motion.
kind of opens a little bit, and
Yeah,
it's
it's
funny because
terrible.
when you fly back and land yourself, you see yourself landing. Uh, it's always funny to just see what you look like, because it's like, yeah, I look like I'm
I
having
look
a
goofy.
seizure or something. I
Super
want to
fun though.
say real quick, thank you to Jason Manti for the super chat, 4.99, much appreciated. He said drone collabs, um, and also Eric, I am. Thanks for the. Yeah, did I say it right? Eric, I am. I hope I said it right. Tell me if I
Yeah, it
didn't say it
looks
right.
looks. Yeah, it looks like.
And then it looks like I owe Bob Casey a wrench, so I will give him one. I probably promised him one last time. So thank you for the reminder. So I have to tell you a funny story. I was actually
What's that?
testing this earlier, just just on my own. I set it to private, or set it to unlisted, and was trying this out since I hadn't done the video before. And all of a sudden, Ken Herron pops up in the chat, And he's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I'm literally talking about looking like a zombie. I'm literally sitting there like with my mouth half open, going, just trying to figure out how it all works. And I guess because Ken's been on this before, he got a text. Like he got a text saying that I was on, even though it was
Oh, no
unlisted.
way.
So he just was hassling me. And I called him up right after, and he says, "Best live stream ever." And I said, "Thanks, man. I appreciate that."
Private show, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's sort of cool though. I can do that though. This is all new. I mean, this is definitely, I think, like the sort of the future of doing these live streams. Like they're sort of simpler, less complicated, and just go right to it. Almost like how StreamYards does it, but I think even simpler.
And that's the thing too. I think that's what they're going for, is for people to be able to do this on a very quick and easy way. If it wasn't so hot, I'd probably be outside walking around, flying. When it cools
Yeah.
down a little bit, riding a bike. It'd be fun to do a live stream from your bike or something like that. Hey, the four-eyed canine too. Thanks for the. Oh yeah, you're welcome. You and I emailed earlier, so you're welcome. I'm so glad you're going to be able to make it spin up. Dude, Spin Down too. I think we've sold more than half the tickets to Spin Down at this point. So if people
Really?
are coming to Spin Down, you got to go to Spin Down 2020 and get a ticket, because I
I did
have to
not
stop
register.
at 50.
I did not register.
Well, the thing is, Ken, I have to stop at 50 people because COVID. They're not going to let more than 50 people be at that facility. It's a city facility. So basically, the first 50 to buy tickets are the people that get to go.
Yeah, wow. I better hustle my ass now.
Well, if you're coming, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how hardcore they'll be about that. I would imagine it's the kind of thing you could get a ticket for if they, if the city tells you. Basically, I'm renting it from the city of Dillon, and
Right.
the pavilion is on a lake. Since I went there and visited Sean, I kind of saw where everything was. The police station is like 2 blocks away, and fortunately, Sean is friends with the cops, so he said, "Oh, it's
good.
cool to fly here," and I've talked to everybody, but still, I would imagine if we have 100 people there and they said only 50, they might get.
And I mean, who knows? Maybe by then things start loosening up a little bit too, and you can maybe even expand on that. Even if you sell out the initial 50, maybe as the dates get closer, they'll let you expand on that. I know here in Florida, we were capped at 10, and then they said now like they wanted group events to halt. So
yeah, and 10 was kind of the cap here in Austin for a while. I think the difference is because this is outdoors. So this pavilion is covered, and if the weather's nice, which I would think it would be, you can kind of go over to picnic tables and such. And by the way, I just want to say hey to Ryan Gordon. Thank you. He said sick format, and I know from my kids that sick means good. It's not like
sick is good, man.
Yeah, not
sick
not like a COVID format. And Geekvarna, thank you for the super chat of £5. That's probably worth about $20 or so. I have to tell you a quick funny story, since Geekvarna is in the UK. Geeksvana is in the UK. My great grandmother and my grandmother actually are both British, and my mom loves to tell this story. So on July 4th, when my mother was growing up, my grandfather, her father, said, they planned this whole thing because my grandmother, who's British, and my great grandmother, who's British, were both there. And so my grandfather asked my mom, who was a child at the time, it's a long story, I know, hey, do you know what today is? And my mom says, oh, yes, it's July 4th, the day we beat the hell out of the British. And my grandmother said, no, dear, it's the day the British beat the hell out of the British. Because there was no U.S. at that time.
There was no U.S. It was just
Yeah. I thought that was pretty funny. All right, I need a sound effects button.
I know we got nothing. I mean, I don't know.
So I also have sitting right here from OriginaldoBo this case. I have not flown this guy yet. That's my intent for tomorrow. Hopefully, is to get out early enough to get this in the air before it gets too hot.
I'm been really bad about certain things I'm supposed to be testing right now. I just you have so many things to fly, and you don't like. It's sort of a good bad problem to have, I guess.
Well, I'm excited because I don't have a lot of experience with Autel. I hear great things about Autel being a very good competitor to DJI.
Yeah, it's a good alternative for somebody who does not want to buy a DJI product. I think it's a good idea to have alternatives in this industry that somebody can go to, because when you really think about it, what brands do we have for consumers to really flock to? Just DJI really right now. Unique doesn't really put anything that a
I mean,
consumer would seem interested.
Is Unique still around? I haven't even heard anything about
The
them in a long
best I've
time.
seen, every time I've gone to commercial events or I've gone to CES, they had a booth there the previous year. This year they did not have a booth there. And if they did, I missed it. And it was super small, but they had one at commercial. But what's funny is a lot of these events, most of the people who are representing these companies don't actually work for companies, don't actually work for DJI or Unique or whoever. They're just distributors that volunteer, like the Geek Nerds. Was it Drone Nerds? Drone Nerds will actually send reps out to represent these booths. They're not really super knowledgeable. They can't tell you about anything about the drone. They're just sort of
Yeah,
there like, here,
it's
take
like
my card. Let me scan your badge.
it's like when you
That's
go
it.
to Best Buy and ask the person at Best Buy. Nothing against Best Buy, but I would
Yeah.
say 90% of the time I know more about what I'm looking for than And I have a question like, will this do 4K over HDMI? Let me call my manager. No, don't call your manager. I'll look it up on Google.
It's fun to screw with them, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I'll see how far I can push it.
So, what kind of thing do you buy at Best Buy? Like, if you're going to Best Buy, what is in your shopping cart?
It's the thing that I have accidentally thrown away because I couldn't like I'll
Like an
lose
SD card or something?
right. I'll lose something and I call it a lose and rebuy. Like I'll find a cable that's just annoying me and I'll throw it away because it's just like I'm done with it. Like I want it out. I want to clean my office. And then what will happen is I'll like 2 days later I'll be like, crap, where's that cable that I need? And what I'll remember is like, oh man, I threw that cable away. So then I
Ah,
rebuy it. So I'll rush to Best Buy. It's whatever I can't get from Amazon quickly or I need it right now. Usually it's an SD card is what I'll buy from Best Buy. I don't really buy electronics from there. I don't buy drones or anything like that. Not even go. Well, one time I did buy a camera from there because I was in a pinch. But
yeah. That is kind of the same for me. It's like if I need something and I can't wait for the delivery time, then I'll go to Best Buy. And then appliances. Like I bought our refrigerator, and I bought my wife a stove. I think when we replaced. Anyway, you get points, and it's all good. But it is annoying how little the service people know there sometimes.
there is,
By
and
the
it's
way, Ken Heron asked if you're coming to the FPV birthday party. Do you know about this?
I thought I saw him post something maybe on Facebook,
I
but
think
what
it's
what
it's on his birthday, and I believe it's August 24th. I can double check that. Ken, can
I'll
you?
he just sent the link. I'll definitely drive up there for that because Ken's like maybe 9 hours from me, if that.
Oh, so you could do it in a day pretty easily.
Yeah, I could jock up there in the day. Oh yeah, I saw that. I definitely want to go because I know Bardwell is going to be there. A couple of other guys that I feel, and that would be a cool spot to break a lot of stuff. I think.
Yeah, that facility looks amazing, and the guy
I
who
will.
runs it. I mean, I watched the interview Ken did with him, and it's such a nice guy. Like, just seems so
Oh, it
sincere.
looks
And
awesome.
how do you have the energy to put into that year after year? And he's like 65 years
Crazy.
old or something. It is kind of crazy, but
That is.
it's
That'd be fun to fly.
it would be really fun to fly. And I hope he's going to have somebody there who's kind of monitoring all the channels and stuff, so that we don't, I, if I can go, it's really going to depend on what's going on with school and work and all that sort of thing with my kids. But if I can go, I'm going to go up there as well. Probably just fly and drive from
Yeah, I
Nashville or
mean, we
whatever's
definitely
closest.
have to be calling out channels. I mean, if you're on digital, I mean, you should be pretty locked in. I think we can have up to what 8 channels, I believe, with digital, which is pretty cool.
Well, I
And
was I was going to ask about that. What do you know about the public channel on this thing? Because that's when I first started this morning. It said you were on a public channel.
it'll switch to public channel. I don't know a lot about it. I just knew that I'm like, crap, I don't want to be on a public channel because somebody else is on the same channel. Me, I don't know if it's going to blast me out of the air. So my thing was, and I also noticed there was a lot of interference on the public channel, so I would switch over. Surprisingly, lately I've been getting a lot of digital breakup, and I don't know if it's antenna positioning or what, but I ended up just using like channel like 3 or 4, and that seems to work well for me, at least
And,
around here.
and so also just on, because I have the remote here, is
Yeah,
is proper antenna position
yeah,
basically
just
you want
just
it to
like
be
the
straight
Phantom.
up?
Yeah, just like the
Okay.
Phantom. Now
They
I
they go
have
out
not
like
put
that.
yeah. Now I have not pushed the range though on that very far, but from what I saw, at least from the I don't know if it's RSSI that they call it on the digital system. It's about like FR Sky's range sort of. So that's why I'm like slowly but surely migrating all the quads over to Crossfire, just so I can have that peace of mind that I'm not going to have any fail safes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and again, to be able to see the whole time with the video transmission,
Yeah,
but also to have that lock solid with
because
your
the
remote.
video is really good, and people complain about the latency, but I don't really notice the latency on there. I don't notice any sort of latency really. Maybe it's just I'm inept to it, but it feels good to me. I feel locked in, anyways.
We got a new flight crew member. I'm trying to
Oh, you
figure
got
out.
Mike, the Drone Ranger. It's hard to see on the screen.
Nice. That's awesome. Um, one other thing I was going to ask you about regarding the channels and such is, as far as the public goes, is that where you would put it if you wanted people to be able to watch, like to
You
do a
know,
ride along kind of thing?
not 100% sure, but it would make sense that you would put it in public. But I'm not 100% sure. I don't know how Ed and Ken did it. At the time when we were at Spin Up or Spin Down and they were letting everybody use it, I didn't really like pay attention to that because at the time it's like one of those things that you don't really care about.
You were busy crashing your Mavic 2 into the
Yes,
fence.
I was busy trying to like beg people for props because I just just crashed in the fence.
Right, right.
um, but now I'm like more locked into it. I'm curious to know because I also know the smart controller can output the signal that you get, or at least the video. I have not tried that yet because I wanted to see if you can live stream it. I know Ed's played with it, but I just haven't had the time.
Well, I mean, it's I know one other thing you were talking about, interference. I did actually RTFM this morning before I went out and flew, and in the manual it says that if your unit is overheating, it'll go into a low power mode, and that's when it will not you'll get a lot of breakup. So if you've
Well,
been flying in a lot of heat, that might be the issue.
so I actually turn off the auto heat feature like that. It'll turn itself off. I only leave that on when I'm benching. So if I'm tuning it, I'll turn that on so it'll know to turn itself into a low, like call it like pit mode essentially.
Right,
Uh,
right.
so that way when it's on my desk, it doesn't get incredibly hot while I'm trying to adjust the PIDs and everything. But I turn that off because if I'm flying over water, the last thing I want to do is it overheat, fail safe, and I lose that. I don't
Oh
want to lose
goodness, yeah.
that specifically in water.
That would not be a good way for it to go either. It'd almost be like
No.
suicide. Drone, just kind of like, I'm
Yeah,
getting too hot. I'm going for a swim.
there's just no coming back from that, especially saltwater. No coming
It's
back.
it's it's like when Billy Kyle when his Skydio took a dip. Remember that?
Yeah, I
Uh,
think of his Mavic. His Mavic was more. It was more sort of dramatic when it did it.
did he
It's
sink his
like
Mavic too?
yeah, yeah. It was so
Oh
close to
goodness,
the island. It was so close to the island, and it just sort of you just seen it, and then it just faded, and you just knew like you didn't see it die, but you knew it was dead.
that kid, that
I
kid.
know. I know. What
Um,
you can do?
well, I have recently sunk a Mavic too, so I don't know if I can cast too many aspersions about that.
Ken
So
says to sit the unit on a laptop fan while you tune. That's actually a really good idea.
so,
I should buy a laptop fan. That's a genius idea.
So actually, funny you should say that. I had when I was getting mine plugged in, I had it on a Vornado, which is just a round fan that has a grill on top, and I just had it on low, blowing up through it, and that was keeping it cooler. But if you don't do that, or even if you do it and you pick it up, it'll burn your fingers. I mean, it's really hot.
It gets crazy. I'm like right now. I'm like side searching for laptop fans, because I just did not even think of that. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I've seen people do all sorts of things like blower fans, but not a laptop fan. That's actually
and I
freaking.
guess you could even get an external fan that plugs into USB or something, right?
Yeah, yeah. You can probably do it. It doesn't take much airflow, to just cool it. I mean, just a little bit should be more than enough.
Well, let's see what's going on out in the chat. We got Agent K in the house. We got Bob Casey in the house. We got Gary in the house. Sunrise Water Media. Yeah, that's awesome. Very good to see you guys. JSK Enterprise. Nice to see you. Ticket sales for Spin Up are going great. I actually have another speaker that I'm going to add to the list probably after this show. I need to go in and update the website because last night during First Friday, I kind of talked through all the speakers that we're going to have. We've got the president of DRL, which I'm really
Oh,
excited. He will be
nice.
speaking. Nurk is going to join us live via Skype. We've got the Drone Girl, of course, but I also have. Do you ever watch Captain Drone from
I do.
Canada?
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
watched
yeah.
Steve.
So Steve's going to join us. I think he's going to just submit a video, but I'm excited. Like I've never had the opportunity to spend much time with him or with Russ or with some of these guys that live overseas, like Henrik from
Sure.
Tech Drone Media. So it'll be cool to have those guys put their perspective in. The big thing I'm trying to come up with too, and I may need some help with this, honestly, is making sure that nobody's repetitive, right? I want to kind of give people topics or work with everyone to get a topic that's going to be fresh.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I definitely don't want to overlap. I like the lineup. I see you got Henrik, Russ, Miriam McNabb, you got Felix, you got Drone Girl, Nurk. Yeah, I mean this is looking good, man. This is a star packed lineup. I think having it in this format is going to enable more people to be able to be there, even if we could be in person. I think that there should be like a segment where it's like a sort of a satellite deal.
Oh, I had
Um,
intended to live stream it, like legit live stream it, no matter what this year. I mean, what
yeah,
even if COVID hadn't happened, I was still
I
intending
think it's
to
cool.
live stream it. But I mean, this kind of forced my hand. Obviously, if anybody watched First Friday last night, I had a few audio mess ups, so I'm gonna have somebody who knows what the heck they're doing on the live stream, at the console kind of thing. But at the end of the day, this was going to happen. This is sort
Sure.
of where things are going, and I still think that the idea of, and maybe this is how we'll do it every year, is to do the spin up as the live stream and then do the event after, kind of the meetup. Because quite honestly, during spin up, I'm usually pretty stressed and I don't get to have any fun. I mean,
Yeah.
I have fun, of course, because I'm there, but not like I will at Spin Down this year, where it's just going to be everybody hanging out. That's going to be so
I think
cool.
I think it's gonna be cool. I'm excited to go to Colorado. I'm actually gonna drive out there because I
Yeah,
was
didn't you
like,
say you might bring the family, like do a little
I'm gonna bring the
vacation?
family. I don't know if they'll
Nice.
actually go to the event, but they'll be sort of kicking around. They just they want to
It's
take a
a
road trip. They want
it's
to
a
get out of the
beautiful
house.
town. It's a really pretty town, and there's lots to do. I know Irvin is coming. I saw him sign up earlier. Kai's coming. A lot of the people in the chat are going to be at Spin Down, so I'm excited about that.
It's gonna be a definite good time. I enjoyed it. Like I enjoyed it more so than the event last year, just because it was more laid back and it was that was a good day. That was a good
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it
that
was a
was a
really
lot of
good day.
fun. So I have a question for you, Ken,
Okay.
because I've always wondered this, and I think people in the audience might wonder this as well. So I was careful because I wanted to make sure I got your channel name spelled right, because I knew there was some capitalization the way you do it.
Yes.
So
Yes.
first of all, where did the name come from? And second of all, why is the last B capitalized?
I'll explain. There is a story behind that. So the name Dobo came from I used to ride BMX growing up. I used to ride BMX,
Ah,
and for there was a period of time where I rode it like semi professionally before
okay.
I met my wife and everything. And when I used to wreck, I used to throw a tantrum after I would crash my like. I mean, I would just like I was rage quitting every time, and my buddy would say, "Up, he's turning into Dobo." So it was just something he blurted out. So he
Wow.
said that I added the original in front of it because I'm the first of three sons. So it was original Dobo. But it was only when we were riding our bikes, we were freestyling up at a store, and they were trespassing us. So a cop was there, and he was writing our trespass warrants. And he said to me, he goes, "I need your name." I said, "Yeah, it's Dobo, DO capital BO." He's like, looks at me. He's sort of laughing, like the B is capital. I'm like, yeah, you have to have the B capital. And he wrote me the trespass ticket, and that was what was on it. I think my
Wow.
mom still has the trespass warrant for it because she was like, they didn't ask you. I'm like, you didn't have IDs back then, and that flew. That was fine back in like '99 or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. You just tell them what your name is. So I always thought it was like a play on like dojo, like the idea of some sort of samurai,
No,
code or something like that. So,
no,
and you
no,
rode
just
BMX. That's pretty cool.
yeah. I still do it sometimes. Like obviously being older now, like injuries are a little
More
more
likely.
prevalent. Like I'm dealing with like broken ribs, so that's always fun.
Those really hurt too.
They
Those
really
are
do hurt.
those are not fun. So
Yeah.
how about mountain biking? Is that something you do?
I have mountain bike. Yeah, I have mountain biked. I actually,
You'd probably be good at it from your
I did
BMX
mountain bike
days.
for a while. I got into it like really heavy for like a couple of years, and then I sort of stopped. I had a really bad accident.
Mm.
That's the way every great hobby ends. So that's why I love drones. Uh, but
Just
that's what happened.
don't fly anything heavier than like 10 pounds. Okay.
No, no, no. I'm definitely not. I'm not going to put myself in the drone because I think that that's where it's all going to end. But no, I had a bad accident mountain bike, and I remember I didn't come up on a hill. It was Easter. I didn't come up on a hill enough, and when you're dealing with locked in pedals, you don't really have the best ability to bail.
Oh,
And I
so
remember,
you were clipped in and you couldn't get
yeah,
out?
I
Uh,
went backwards like this, and luckily enough for me, it wasn't too like I missed the post, and just it was fate. I get lucky a lot.
wow. Were you
Yeah.
wearing a helmet?
I did have a helmet on. I always wear a
Okay,
helmet when I'm riding. You just
good.
never know. Never
Yeah,
know.
you never know. I actually went mountain biking with a buddy yesterday, and aside from it being hot as Hades, it was awesome. It was a great ride. I really hadn't been since about, I don't know, March or April, so it was nice to get out. But my mountain biking, I used to do a lot more ledges and kind of technical stuff, and these days it's more smooth single track stuff. But it's
It's
still a blast.
it's just so hot down here. Like, I mean, it is so hot and humid. It just makes like doing anything, like even flying. I find myself like, as a hobbyist, like with FPV, I find myself flying a little bit more at night lately, just because I rather deal with like the humidity than the heat at night.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it's kind of like, Jake Sloan or even Russ, who live up in the north, Alaska or North Dakota. I think. I mean, those places get really cold in the winter, right? So they have a hard time going out in the winter, and it's great for us. Like December is beautiful in Texas, typically.
I I was arguing with my wife today, and I said, why do we have to live where it's so hot? She's like, well, it's always hot in summer everywhere. I'm like, that's not true. That's not true. But then I guess what I just need to become is a snowbird and just live somewhere else during the
Yeah.
summer, and then just come back down here during the winter months, because it's just this has been probably one of the hottest years that I've ever experienced down here.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, and Florida is really humid too. I mean, that's
Oh
just
man,
part of the deal.
just go outside and you sweat. You're like, it's just miserable.
Well, you need to grow the mullet out because that kind of
I know.
shades the neck and keeps you cool in
My
the back. And Florida man.
funny story. My brother and we look a lot alike, but he's growing a mullet right now, and he's even got like the star spangles, embedded in his side.
Nice.
I don't know how, but he's sitting at a bar the other day up in Citrus County, which is just north of here, and somebody says, "Original Dobo," is trying to talk to him, thinking it was me because we do look alike. And he said he was so confused, he didn't know what was happening. He's like, "Yeah, I watch your videos." He's like, "Dude, you got the wrong person. I don't know what you're
He
talking
didn't put
about."
two and two together that he was talking
No, and
about
then he
you.
finally did. He finally did. He did realize, and he said, "No, no, no, you mean my brother." He goes, "I'm
Yeah,
not, I'm
yeah.
Joe. I'm Joe. No, you mean Ken? That's my middle brother." I mean, we sort of look alike, but not tremendously. I mean, I guess somebody could mistake us, but his personality totally different than mine.
Yeah.
He's just
I mean, how often? I've had this happen once or twice. Has somebody recognized you? I had it happen once at a. It was actually a bike ride. It was one of these like 50-mile, 100-mile charity bike rides. And at the end of it, I was just sitting there. It was at a brewery called Shiner Brewery, and somebody like just came over to me and said, "Are you the guy from the drone thing?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then another time we were having a garage sale and this guy was buying stuff at our garage sale and he recognized me. Now, I was wearing a Ready Set Drone t-shirt at the time, so I kind of but he was like, "I watch your channel." And that was pretty cool. Has that happened to you?
um, it has. It's the funniest things. So when Billy and I are flying up in Philly, we would, anytime it's always around specific things though. Like we were flying the drones by the Ben Franklin Bridge, and these guys came up to us, and he goes, "Hey, are you Billy Kyle?" And Billy's like, "Yeah." And at the time they didn't know who the hell I was. That's fine, because it was like every time we went somewhere and somebody was flying a drone or just maybe passing him, they knew who he was. So it happens more locally. I've never had it happen really out of state, but it happens locally. People locally, they know, they know who I am, they know what I do. But I did have a security guard who constantly um, he'll never kick me out of Tampa. Like he sees me, he's like, I watch your stuff, and he won't kick me out of the places I shouldn't be.
Nice.
So he's awesome. So
He
he's
he
really
won't
cool.
he won't write a trespassing ticket to
No, not at all,
original
man. He lets
Dobo
me.
capital B.
Every time he sees me, he's just like, hey, how long are you gonna be? Because I'm usually on a parking garage where you're not supposed to be. It's like a restricted area. And he's
Right,
like,
right.
so he's like, all right. He goes, I put the traffic cones back up. I'm like,
That's
cool.
awesome.
So
Well,
he's a
yeah,
cool
I
guy.
mean, it's all about, are you causing trouble? Are you making a ruckus?
Nah,
Et
I'm
cetera.
just looking for a better vantage point.
Usually those kind of things are related to insurance, that the property management is freaked out that someone's flying a drone. My office building is on like 32 acres. It's a pretty large complex of office buildings, and
Okay.
I think there's like 10 or 12 buildings on the complex. And that's actually where we're going to do spin up from, where we're going to live stream from, because we have fiber there and a good setup for it. Anyway, I I have permission to fly because they know we do that. It's part of for video production, of course. But then I've just been doing it there for so long. We've been in this office complex since 2007. That like the security people know me, the property management knows me. I pay rent for our office too. So I'm a tenant there. But it's pretty nice because if you want to be able to fly in a place that nobody else can fly in, that's one of those passes that I get.
That's pretty awesome.
And they have this giant American flag. As a matter of fact, I should have done something yesterday. I was up at work for a little while yesterday. I should have done something with that flag because it's just so big and it's right in front of the highway. So you can. I've done shots like this before where you kind of reveal, you pull back from the flag, and then you see the highway with all the cars going by. That'd be a cool hyperlapse.
That would be a cool hyperlapse.
So you have a Mavic Air 2? Do you have one?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and have you done the hyperlapse on it?
I did try one, but I felt like it was a little too windy that day.
Was
It
it
was a little too.
shaky?
It was very shaky, and
Yes.
I was like, why is it so shaky? Because I do them with the Mavic 2 Pro, and they come out
They're
excellent.
rock
They come out
solid.
excellent.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't know if
But
that was just
these were
me. I'd love to hear in the chat if people think that the hyperlapse on the Mavic Air 2 is shaky, because I've flown it on a couple of windy days
and it
now,
was it
and
was it was a 20-minute hyperlapse. Obviously, when it's all crunched down, it's not going to be as much.
yeah, it's
But
like 15 seconds or 20
yeah,
seconds or whatever.
but I was like, man, this is shaky. I don't know how often were you taking photos?
Every 2 seconds.
Yep, same here. So I
That's
mean,
pretty much my default. But like you said, I've done it so often with the Mavic 2 Zoom, more often than the Pro. Uh, but those always come out just like smooth as butter. And with the Mavic Air, I must just get pushed around in the wind more because it
I
just
think so.
is. Yeah, it's just a little more. I don't know.
That's one of the reasons why I've stopped doing hyperlapses from drones, just because they do get pushed around so much, and I always bring it back and stabilize it. Like I'll shoot the raw photos and I'll drop it into Premiere Pro,
Put a warp
stabilize it.
stabilizer on it or something.
Yeah, I'll edit the raw photos and go that route versus just using the default, because I think you get a better result. But
Oh,
I just
versus actually having DJI software to do it. You take the photos
right.
and put them in. Well, the other thing that I've often wondered about, if it's a technical capability or if it's just a decision, is why is there a lower limit of time on those 2 seconds? Because I'm looking at a couple of people to see if anybody's. So Bob Casey says he's going to try it and see. Hyperlapse worked great, says Steve Carpenter. Um, it might depend on the wind, because when I noticed it, it
I
was
think it
windy. But
does.
but why is the DJI Go and DJI Fly app limit you to 2 seconds? Why can't you do 1 second or half
Think of
second?
it this like this. We don't know what the buffer is on those cameras. Like on my Sony, I
Mm,
can hold down that camera and it's just gonna pop, 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 and it's gonna fire off a burst of 10 photos. So if you're doing every 2 seconds, that's probably just the limit to allow the buffer to actually keep
oh,
writing. Because
wow!
if you're taking a photo in RAW, it has to write that image, which that
Right.
image is going to be expanded or sometimes uncompressed. So our SD cards have limitations. I think that's more of a limitation on how fast they can write to the SD card.
That
If
makes
I had
total
to guess.
sense. That
If
makes
I had
total
to
sense.
guess.
I had never thought about that. Maybe if you were doing like a smaller, because it only does the hyperlapse in 1080, I think, right?
Yeah, yeah, but you can. Well, no, you have 8K hyperlapse though.
So if you pull the raw photos, they're
Yeah,
8K,
you can take if you take the
8,000
raw
pixels.
photos. So you take all the raw photos, and what it's going to do is it's going to be those photos are going to be sequential. So
Right.
I use Premiere Pro. So what I'll do is I'll take all those photos, load them up into Premiere Pro, or you can use After Effects even, and I'll
Make
highlight
them
all the
make them one
photos,
frame each.
and I'll say make sequence from the order of from the numbered order, and it puts them in the correct order. It
Right,
knows.
right. No,
So
I mean that's how you used to have to do it, right?
yeah,
That's how you did pretty much any time
I
lapse you
think
were
it's still the
doing
best way to do it.
with any
I think
camera.
it's still if you have the means to do it, it's still the best way. I know for a while I was really hooked on hyperlapses with the here's a blast from the past, the Osmo Pocket.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
there's something that I feel like we haven't seen really anybody talk about anymore in a long time, and
true.
it's sort of just a forgotten product that DJI's made.
I will say though that since the Osmo Action has is introduced the audio adapter that
Uh huh.
goes on the USB-C, and there's a cage you can get for it that has cold shoes on it.
Yeah, yeah.
That has made the Osmo Action. I use that thing all the time now because
I I do too
put it
because
on it.
I
You put it
have
on a tripod, and with a shotgun mic on it or a wireless, you can use the Rode Wireless Go on it, and it's just so convenient because you can get good audio directly to it, and you don't have to sync sound later,
I
which I
got
love.
this guy. I got this guy that has a I guess it has an audio adapter, but I feel like the audio and the images that come out of the Insta One don't look nearly as good as what comes out of the Osmo Action. I just feel like the Osmo Action is like the king for like vlogging.
Is that the Insta One 1 inch, or is it the
No,
the
this is
regular
not the
one?
1 inch. This is the regular one. I didn't get the 1 inch because people were saying, oh, it's not as, it's not a noticeable difference. I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know.
I heard that the 1 inch is better in low light. That's really kind of
Yeah.
the where it does best. I mean, if you're in a twilight situation, or I saw a couple of
Hmm.
comparisons where they shot in like a room that only had a candle or was dimly lit, and they had the 1 inch versus the GoPro Hero 8 and the Osmo Action and the other Insta 360, the one without the 1 inch sensor, and it
Yeah.
definitely looked better in the low
I
light.
mean, it's interesting. I mean, I think the Osmo Action's convenient. I really don't use the Action on the drones though because I feel like I get a lot of jello. Even if it's stabilized, it's not quite as good as the GoPros in that regard.
Even with the Rocksteady on.
Yeah, even with the Rocksteady, I get a lot of jello sometimes. But what I did notice is though, you can crash the hell out of your drone and not really worry about breaking this thing. This thing is super durable.
Yeah, that's true. That's
So
true.
you don't have to worry about cracking the back screen or even the front glass. It's not like that. This thing just explodes into like three pieces.
Well, yeah, it's almost like Lego
Crazy.
bricks that come apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's you know, I really Sean Oz is in the chat, and he's really the one that convinced me I need to do more 360 video. And he's right.
It's a huge thing.
It's an extra step, but the Hero or the GoPro Max, of course, is his favorite. I know, and I think even the Insta 360, the Insta 360 1R or the 1X, if you apply the software to it and the smoothing, you can get such smooth footage out of it.
So
Smoother than a
this has
gimbal
been
in some cases.
this is my favorite camera right now. Bar
Which one
none,
is
my
that?
favorite camera. This is the Instagram 360.
Oh, I need to get one of those.
So I wasn't gonna get one of these, and I was watching this guy. He does FPV. He's not everybody's cup of tea, but his name's Botgrinder.
Oh
And
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. I've watched him.
dude, he's like he reminds me of me. Just he's a little more extreme,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
he's
He
funny as
speaks his
hell. And he's
mind.
like, yeah, he just lets it all hang out. And he's like, this is fun to have these because you can put them on like the little 3-inch drones and get really crazy shots. So I got one and I've been using it, and I mean it's the most fun I've ever had with a camera. The most
And
fun I've
and
ever
you
had with a camera.
really can get very very stable shots even though
You
it's not
can.
stabilized, right?
Yeah, even if it's not, even if you don't use any stabilization with it, the shots just look amazing. You throw stabilization on there, you look like a pro. It blows real steady away. It really
Wow.
does.
So
It's pretty
so
darn cool.
and originally they had a like a 1 minute limit on the footage, and now you can do 5 with the firmware update.
5 minutes. Yeah, and it gets a little toasty. It can get toasty.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's
you got to be careful with that.
what is that thing? That might be my trip to Best Buy tonight. We were talking about
160, man. 160.
160. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazon, or I think they may be a little bit more at Best Buy, but
Throw
we have
that
them
throw
here
that bad boy on here.
Oh, for sure. Print yourself a mount. You got a 3D printer, Kelly?
I don't, but I know a lot of people who do.
Yeah.
So that would.
That was one of the things I did. I went out and got a 3D printer, which that's a whole nother issue.
I
Just
don't even think I have
deeper I
space
go.
for it. That's more. It's more of a. My wife is already like wanting me to get rid of half my stuff, and aren't they pretty big? I mean, the ones I've seen
Um,
have been
it's like this big. It's not
not too
massive. It
bad.
doesn't take.
Okay.
I just like try to look for things that are already taking up space and then set things on top of those things. And
So I'm going to see you on an episode of Hoarders someday, right?
pretty much,
With just
pretty much.
covered by like propellers and batteries, and one of those lipos is just going to go up, and then
It was funny. Aldrin, he was saying to me, he goes, "Oh, his space isn't very big," and it's like it was a mess. And I said, "Well, okay, now I don't feel so bad because my space isn't very big, but it's a mess." So
yeah,
I'm slowly but surely migrating everything over to I do have a studio. DroneWorks built an office, and we have this massive area in there that we designed and we're sound treating. So we're slowly but surely moving everything
nice,
over there. But it's just the convenience of walking out of my bedroom and
yeah.
coming into here to film. I didn't want to give it up, but sadly, space is exceeding what I'm capable of doing right now.
How far away? How far away is DroneWorks from your house?
6 minutes.
Oh,
So it's not.
it's
So
nothing.
after him being all right, let's go. It's just you got to do it because like we built computers and everything for the space, and it's like it's sort of like a dream to even have the option to do that. So I just got to force myself to do it at this point.
Well, and I'm in the same situation with my office. It's great to live stream from there because we have fiber. Because we have that. If anybody's watched my live streams, typically the cleaning crew comes in midway through, and so I get a lady who comes in to clean to take the trash, and she's always like, "Oh, look what you're doing." But it's just that hassle factor of getting all my stuff together
Yeah.
and driving to the place where I spend all day anyway, most of the time. This is my home right now. I'm at home. But for this, this, especially with this setup, right? Using
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
iPhone, I did not have to plug in an HDMI cord and a converter. And I mean, it's just so dang convenient to be able
It
to
is
do it this way.
convenient because I honestly I thought I overslept and missed this, and I felt absolutely terrible because I told you I came back and I passed out. I was sleeping, and I
Yeah.
woke up and I'm like, I saw the text, but then I'm like, I totally forgot. That's how oblivious I was today. I had a few to drink. I'm not gonna lie.
You were
Alcohol
on the
may have been a
water.
factor,
It's July 4th.
but
Happy birthday,
so
America.
so I was like, crap. So I just grabbed the MacBook. I didn't set up anything. I think I got like one little key light going on here, but it's easy. It's easy. It's convenient. Speaking of which, I wish MacBooks had a better webcam. Like these things are the worst.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm looking at the shot and I'm using my phone, and like you're a lot closer. Like it's a lot
Yeah, yeah,
more
yeah.
zoomed
I
in
gotta like go back like
than
this.
than the phone shot. Yeah. So what do you think about the new Parrot? I didn't really talk about that last night, but just
I mean,
curious.
it looks
$7,000,
interesting.
right?
Yeah, but that's thermals for you. I mean, anytime you start involving technology that has boson or FLIR involved, you're going to pay a premium for that. Sadly,
How much was the Mavic 2 Enterprise?
Mavic 2 Enterprise when that came out, what the hell was that? That was
A lot.
5,000, I think.
Oh, was it really? I
No,
didn't
I'm
realize it
sorry,
was
no,
quite that
no.
much.
It was like $2,900.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
so still more than you would pay for
Yeah,
a regular
but
Mavic
that's
2.
but the resolution on the Enterprise Dual is just not adequate for a lot of situations. Like
Oh
it's
yeah,
barely public safety of it, capable.
yeah.
It's
No,
barely.
I agree that FLIR or the heat compared to what you would see on a much bigger drone with a much better resolution. And by the way, Metro Drones, thank you for the super chat. Good to see you, Bill.
He's always
Thanks.
in the house.
Happy
All
Fourth,
right.
everyone.
Um,
Well, so 7,000. You think it's worth a try? I mean, it just still looks a lot like an Anafi, right? It still looks
it's
like a kind of
that's my
plasticky
thing.
kind of thing.
That's my thing. But I mean, here's the thing. Like, if you're a company that works with the Department of Justice or something here in the States, or you're working with, government, right? You almost don't have a choice if you want something sub $10,000, because let's face it, what are you going to be able to find? There just isn't anything available commercially that can say, oh, I was not manufactured in China.
Right, and so Parrot's a French company. They are using, and this is mostly me listening to other drone people talking about this,
Yeah,
but they are using some Chinese parts.
sure.
At the end of the day, this is kind of the funny thing that I find about this whole controversy of drones spying on us. We all have Sony TVs, Samsung TVs, LG TVs. Well, those aren't American-made TVs, right? And now with smart
No,
TVs, they've got speakers in them, they've got cameras in them, they've got all that stuff. I mean, if they wanted to spy on us, that seems like that'd be a much smarter way to do it than somebody flying their drone over the water, right?
it's sort of a silly argument. I mean, they're talking about the data and where that data is going back and forth, and the reality is, all right, the applications are vetted by the app stores in which let those apps be downloaded by millions of users. If there was a threat, an even slight threat, Apple no doubt would have pulled DJI's app, right? But then they're on the flip side of the coin. It's not even about the data or the privacy. It's about people supporting a Chinese company, which I think it's inevitable, because what else do we have in this space? We haven't had really an American company say, all right, we're going to deliver X, Y, and Z that's
Yeah.
going to meet or exceed what DJI brings to the table. Skydio, you can't really claim that they do that, because they are more of an enthusiast company. They're building things such as like a GoPro would. So we don't really
And they're
have
very
any.
small, and they don't even have
Right.
the production capabilities.
It,
And again, I go back to the TV example. Name me a good American-made television. Is RCA maybe?
I don't even think they make.
They
I
don't
don't
make
even know.
TVs
That's got to be
anymore.
produced in China or Taiwan or something. Or I mean, Samsung is Korean.
Yeah,
So I mean,
I'm just saying that there's a lot more televisions being bought
sure.
than in terms of, and it's another funny story is my parents when I was growing up. Hey, Jake Sloan, good to see you. And I said hi to Thomas O'Sullivan, but it's good to see you as well, and Steve Carpenter. I wanted to always, when we were growing up, a lot of my friends' parents had Hondas or Toyotas or whatever, and my parents
Mhm.
refused to buy a Japanese car. So you know what we had? We had friggin' Chrysler K car, and we had a Ford Pinto, and we had a Mercury Cougar. These
My
were the
dad had a
cars.
Pinto.
Oh, and they were terrible. They were always breaking down, and they exploded. I mean, the Pinto did anyway.
The Pinto did, yeah, yeah. We had one.
Anyway, so it was just one of these things where, actually, my dad still drives a Ford, so good on him, I guess, for sticking to his word. But as soon as my first car was a Buick, and then I got a Jeep, and then I had a Mercury, and then I got an Isuzu Rodeo, and that was my favorite car up to that date. Of course, it was the nicest one. It was my fourth car, and now I've had Hondas ever since then, and the Subaru. But I don't know. It just seems like that argument could carry over, whether you agree with it or not. It could carry over
Yeah.
outside of just drones. People really are focused on the
The
drones.
the argument I see the most is that, oh, I'm going to buy Autel because they're American. That's the argument that I see a lot of, and I can see how somebody could believe it's an American company when they're not. It's just to have American-based support. But that was an argument that was pretty popular around the time, a couple years back, because they advertised American support, and it was sort of some trickery, because their drone and everything, their product is actually processed overseas.
Hmm.
So it's not an American-based company whatsoever.
Well, and I will say it is very good when you get really good support, wherever it's
Yeah.
based, with someone that you can understand on the phone. No offense to people with accents, but sometimes it's hard to understand people if they're speaking, if English is not their native language, number one. And number two, time zone wise, it's nice that you can have a company that's based in a similar time zone, so they can do the support. But good support is good support no matter where it comes from,
Right.
you know?
I just get annoyed because, like, I know they're reading a script, and like I just wish they would use their real name sometimes, because, like,
Yeah.
hello, this is Richard, and I'm like, listen, your name's not Richard.
Yeah.
What's your
Yeah.
name?
Yeah.
I don't want to identify with Richard. I want to know your real name so we can have a dialogue.
And
And
you know what he says back to you? He says, "Your name's not Dobo."
yeah, no. They don't like me at DJI support, but I digress.
Well, I'm just gonna put it out there and just say, personally, DJI has been, I think, very good to this community. Like, if
I'm 4 and 5 with support calls with them. 4 and 5. That's
no,
pretty good. That's a good ratio.
that is pretty good. And you know, as far as supporting spin up goes, I definitely appreciate that, DJI, if you're watching. We this is a DRL hat, isn't it?
Yeah,
DRL,
I'm like, where's he going? Anybody else seeing this? He's got a DRL
DR.
hat.
Well, I thought I was wearing my DJI hat earlier when I was flying, but I switched over because I wanted to share the love. I do want to just say a big shout out to two groups of people. Well, three groups of people. Number one, the flight crew. If you see everybody with the little sticker or little icon next to their name, they're in the Ready Set Drone flight crew, and I really appreciate that. Also, want to say thank you to all the spin up heroes who have purchased the ticket that will get them some extra things, including a one of a kind spin up T-shirt. I'm only going to make enough for the heroes that so it'll truly be, if you have one of these spin up shirts from this year, it'll be unique and very high quality. And then I also want to say thank you to our sponsors who are sponsoring Spin Up. If you don't know about Spin Up and you're out there right now, you can go to spinup2020.com and Spin Down 2020. Really, there's more urgency around Spin Down because, as I said earlier, we can only have 50 people in the pavilion, and I think we've sold about half the tickets. Okay. I've got it set right now so that you can actually see how many tickets there are. And if you're coming with a spouse or somebody who's maybe only going to be there for a little while, I'm not too worried about it. I just don't want to get in trouble by packing too many people into that space.
You can access that. Oh, you know what? Steve just put in the chat. I need to click on the link Steve just put out there.
Yes, thank you, Steve, for doing that. So, as far as other stuff going on with you, were you able to do your real estate walkarounds or classes that you were? Have you had people go?
So here's the deal with the class. I put a hold on it because the way I wanted to have it, the state's not going to allow me to have it the way I wanted it.
With COVID.
Right. And I'm sure it's going to get even crazier after the 4th of July weekend, because immediately if it's anything spikes, we're not going to know this weekend. We're going to know like a week from now, 2 weeks from now type of thing.
Yeah.
So my thing was, because of the holiday and everything else, and, you know, it's imperative that I keep people safe as well, that I didn't want to have a group of 25 plus people in a small confined area, because it's going to be a house. We're going to essentially be using a house, and it wouldn't have been fair to the realtor. So I'm still offering people to shadow. I'm just going to take 1 or 2 people on a gig. It may take a little bit longer for me to get through that list of 25. I've already got 1 off the list, so that's good, because he came with me and he happened to come with me on probably the biggest listing we've ever done.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
That was cool to have John out there and hang out with us. So I'm just going to keep offering it, and if people want to go, they can go. As of right now, we're doing like 8 or 9 houses a week. So there's definitely an opportunity to blow through that list rather swiftly.
And when you say one of the biggest listings, do you mean square footage wise or price wise or both?
Square footage wise, it was 6,700 square feet. It was
what?
Yeah, 6,700 square feet, three floors, and it was $1.2 million.
Goodness, what? I mean, on a house like that, do you try to get shots of every single room, or are you just kind of doing the big picture on it?
Let's put it this way. Like, my brother helped me shoot this house because I was doing the video, he was doing the photos. And I had one request of him. I said, Joe, make sure you shoot the elevator. She wants to highlight. Make sure you shoot the elevator because she wants a photo of the elevator.
Any house that has an elevator,
right?
Yeah, you really should.
So it's partially my fault, because I see an elevator in a house. I'm like, this is the Barbie dream house. This is amazing. Like, so yeah, I know. So I go to the elevator, and what do? And it's like this little thing. I go in the elevator, and immediately, like, I'm in a house that has an elevator. I'm going down to the first floor. The first floor happens to be the theater room. And I tell my buddy John, who's with us, I said, John, meet me down there. I get stuck in the elevator. And now I'm freaking out because, like, I get like,
there's no button to push or someone to call, right? This is in somebody's house.
In an elevator in a house is not like an elevator in a building where you can hear it. Like, the elevator in a building's like, ooh, that's my elevator sound.
Yeah,
ooh.
That's good. That's good.
And then this elevator was like this. And I'm
silent.
Thinking, I'm like,
wow.
I know. And I'm like, I can't see movement. I'm like, is it down? And John's like, hey, you're on the first floor. I'm like, I'm like, great. How do I get out? I'm trying to open the door. It's not open. And now I'm like panicking. I'm like,
Is it one of
but
those
it's like,
kind where you have to physically open the door, or do
yeah,
they slide open?
no, I wish. This was like 1.2 million. I think you got to spend 1.5 to have the one that physically opens.
Okay.
But he's like, oh, there's a child safety lock. And I'm like, well, that would
Ah.
make sense. So you got to hit the lock. And yeah, so it was my fault he didn't get the photo, I guess.
So the elevator actually was working. You just weren't clear on
I
how to
think I
operate it.
broke it because when I shut the door, the actual door, it has another lock, and you have to slide the curtain to trigger the lock. So it was my fault that it broke.
Well,
So
I hope your client's not watching right now.
I already told her.
Oh,
She go because I had to go back over the house. She's like, I really want that shot of the elevator, and I'm like, well, it's not happening because the elevator's not opening.
oh goodness. Well, is the purpose of this elevator somebody who is unable to walk upstairs, or were they just really lazy?
You know what it is, Kel? I think when you have FU money, you take an elevator to make a statement. You don't
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you just take it down
Bring
and
me
it's
an
like
elevator.
I mean, if I had an elevator in my house, I would take it whenever applicable,
Yeah,
just to, pound my chest to say I have an elevator.
yeah,
Even
yeah.
if I don't even if I'm fully capable of walking down those stairs.
Dang,
So
that's crazy
I'm
stuff,
buying my
man.
ticket to spin down. I'm buying that ticket to spin down right now.
Excellent, excellent. So another
32
person.
bucks is well worth it. I mean, how can you go wrong with 32 bucks for a ticket to spin down? That's the best.
Well, and as I said, the money, the goal with the money is to cover the pavilion, $900, and the food, $600. So if I get 50 people at $30 each, that's $1,500 done. So, and I know a lot of people in the chat are coming to spin down. Definitely, if you guys are able to make it, it's going to be a blast. But again, I have to stop at 50. So not trying to create scarcity. I just want anybody who's considering coming to go ahead and get their ticket because
Yeah.
yeah, and I think Steve Carpenter says it's to haul your belongings between floors. Yeah, and it would be all my drones. So instead of walking my drones up and down the stairs, I have an elevator for them. I think isn't that called a dumbwaiter? What's the difference between a
A
dumbwaiter and an elevator?
dumbwaiter. So this house did have one of those too, and it also had. So she has like this laundry chute that goes through all the floors, and she's like, "Can we put a camera in the laundry chute?" I'm like, "What do you want me to do? Put a GoPro? Drop? I guess I could have dropped a GoPro
A
down there.
little
That
tiny drone,
I
just
could
just
have
just
not
flew a
that quick,
little Mavic Mini down it.
but I was trying to figure like how would you, I'm in short of just throwing something down there. I don't know, but
My English grandmother, the one who I was talking about earlier, the Americans didn't beat the British beat the British. She lives in Kansas City. She's still alive, 90 95. Dumbwaiter is not for people, says Steve Carpenter. Good to know. That's yeah, I think it's for food up and down. Yes, Four-Eyed Canine says dumbwaiters are for food. Thank you. My grandmother in Kansas City had one of those laundry chutes, and she has a 3-story. She had a 2-story house, but it had a basement, and
okay.
the laundry was down in the basement. And my sister and I, we were kids. We just loved that laundry chute. That was like our favorite thing to drop our little action figures, and we one of us would be downstairs and one of us would be upstairs shining a flashlight, and I mean hours and hours of time spent playing with the dang laundry chute. So maybe that's the purpose of it. It's like
Yeah,
kids who play with boxes. You get them this great toy, and then all they want to do is play with the box.
yeah, that tends to happen, but it's not like these houses. Like lately, some of these houses I've been shooting are just like I don't know where they've been hiding. Like there've been like I've driven down these streets hundreds of times. I've never seen like these little cutoffs with like these little sort of I don't know mansions hiding.
So
And
how hurricane proof are these houses? Like do they
this
have to
one,
build them to like
yeah,
certain standards?
this one actually even has a safe room, which I thought was pretty incredible. Which I couldn't even access the safe room because they didn't want it shown on photos or whatever. I guess obviously if you have somebody breaking into the house, you don't want them to know where the room is. So
Well,
totally
is it a
understand.
safe room for that, or is it a safe room for hurricanes, or safe room for
It's
everything?
for safe room for everything.
Wow.
Safe room for everything.
COVID.
I
What, whatever.
I,
Nuclear missiles, zombies.
yeah, I mean it was pretty incredible. But a lot of these houses, yeah, they're built to withstand a hurricane. I don't know how, what category hurricane. I would imagine anything's going to cripple at a category 3, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I know, like for me, growing up in Houston, for the most part, when I've gone down to Galveston and seen like what got wiped out there during a couple of Hurricane Ike, for example,
Yeah, yeah.
um, now the houses that they're building, because for my birthday last year, my wife and parents rented a house in Galveston, and I hadn't been there in years. And the house we stayed in was up on stilts, probably pretty tall too. Like you park down beneath, storage beneath, and then the first floor is up, and then there's another floor above that. And these were beams. I mean, these were like really solid beams that must have been sunk way down because it's all sand, right? Um,
Okay.
I was very impressed and thought, well, this probably would survive something. Like you said, hurricane category 4, category 5, maybe not, but a cat 3 or a cat 2, I think it'd be fine.
My thing is like anytime like somebody asks, well, what can your house withstand? I'm like, I'm not gonna stay around to find out. Like when the going gets tough, like
how
I'm gonna
close to
dip
the
out.
water are you?
I'm really close. So we're on the west coast. So like for me, Wiki Wachi and the water is probably about 5 to 10 minutes away from me, if that.
And you're on the Gulf side.
Yeah, I'm on the Gulf side.
And is the water pretty clear where you are?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The water's like crystal clear by me. So the Wiki Wachi Springs, if you look it up, that water specifically, it says 72 degrees all year round. So
Wow,
like today, it's like the
refreshing.
perfect. Yeah, yeah, super refreshing. And the water is super clear, and
And it's freshwater, Wikiwachi
it's
Springs.
yeah, it's fresh water up until you get like further down, and then it turns into, I guess they call it brackish water, and
Right.
then it turns into the Gulf. But the Gulf by me is like crystal clear. I mean, you can see to the bottom.
So growing up in Houston, I don't have you ever been to Galveston or Port
I've been to
Aransas or
Galveston. The water looks pretty brown.
it's very brown. And do you know why?
Poop.
No,
Oh,
it's good. It's always a good guess, but no,
okay.
it's silt from the Mississippi. So
Okay.
basically, the Mississippi River, where it comes in, I think it's around New Orleans, goes into the Gulf. You can look at a satellite image of it. There's this big plume of silt that it kicks up, and it's
Really?
coming out, and it basically is this big kind of semicircle that goes around, and that's why all that water along the Texas coast is not very clear because of the silt from the
It's
Mississippi.
very brown. Like I
Well,
never
that's
understood that.
it's a silt. Yeah. I mean, it's which made me feel better about it because I always thought it was just polluted, when I was growing
Uh-huh.
up. Because we had gone to Florida, my grandparents lived in Florida. The water was crystal clear. Anyway, it's another one of those things that when you look at it from above, much like looking down from a drone, you see things in a different way. So if you
I
ever
wonder if
want
it's
to,
the silt that makes the water up by Philly brown too.
uh, is that in the river? You mean like the
Yeah.
freshwater?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been to that river. I went to that river last year. We went to Germany last year, and we spent 3 days in Philadelphia doing all the historical stuff beforehand, and we had a pretty good time. But that water was very gross looking. I would
Yeah.
agree. I don't know.
It's
Could be
it's
so.
better when it's frozen. It's when it's frozen, it looks great.
Right, right. Well, hey man, what's coming up on your channel? What do you got
um,
going? Anything people should be
so
looking for?
as of right now, we do have some commercial products that are going to be coming up very soon. So for the guys that are like on the commercial side of life,
Nice.
these are like one-off, one-of-a-kind products that I don't think they'll be expecting.
Okay.
So yeah, that's going to be coming up. It's going to be on the thermal
Like,
side of life.
oh, nice,
Uh,
nice. Okay.
and then we do have some more Evo stuff coming up. Some things that people have requested. People have wanted ND filters, so we've got a company to actually build sort of almost a signature set of Evo filters. So
Well, so explain this to me because I know you work in the drone industry. I know you do the real estate stuff. I know you do film and video. What
yeah.
what is what is this when you say we like this
So
company?
so Zach has DroneWorks, and then a couple of like 2 years ago, him and I partnered up to try to expand the business further.
Okay.
So I handle all the marketing, most all of the customer service, the complaints, to everything. So, and then he handles the logistics, the shipping, and then like sort of my job to secure new brands to distribute through us. So
So
like,
so so if someone wanted to buy a DJI product or a case from a certain manufacturer or Polar Pro or any of those lol,
yeah,
they could buy that through you guys.
yeah, they could buy it through us. Like, certain brands we don't work with anymore. Like we just found like people have lost interest in it, or or we couldn't get products out on time because they're having shipping concerns. Obviously, with everything that's happened, certain manufacturers have struggled a lot more than others. But it's, what I've done was go through and try to build relationships with these manufacturers, from a business perspective. How can we distribute your product, and how can we effectively get you to work with us, and how can we get better pricing? Like, we need a competitive edge, and try to explain to these vendors that, hey, like, listen, I know you're selling it for this and this on this, but what can we do to get a little bit more of a competitive edge with your product? Not even talking about margins or anything, because a lot of times we're just selling it for exactly what we're paying for it. But
Well,
it's
you're trying to get volume, right? The
we're
more
trying to get
volume you can
volume.
get.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're trying to get
Well,
volume. So.
Well, that's awesome. And I know you had mentioned about possibly even throwing in some things for spin
Yeah,
up, and we can talk about that separately, because I don't
for
really
sure.
have right now. I don't really have anything in the way of like cases, and we had a lot of cases we gave away last year from Nanook. Actually, Barry Markowitz had provided us a bunch of those cases from Nanook and stuff. But yeah, we can talk about all that. What about on your channel on Original Dobo? What's coming up there? I know you have a special guest this week on your
Yes.
drones and brews.
Yeah, somebody that I've been wanting to get on for a while. He's coming on finally. So I think it'd be cool to have him on. I just messaged him out of the blue, and he goes, yeah, that sounds fun. Let's do it. So
Nice.
I know it's going to be a hoot. I'm going to try to give him a call on Tuesday night beforehand, because I know he's a stickler when it comes to audio.
Yep.
So we're going to
You
make
want to
sure
you want
that,
to get it all. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
want to make sure it's 100% for this. So I don't ever use StreamYards, but just because I want it to be like, I want everything to go well for his sake, because I know his time is valuable, and I know, like, anytime we're doing streams or anything like this, it's always like, I don't want to deal with the issues.
Yeah, yeah. Because when I came on, I remember like the first 5 minutes was sorting out the audio. So and
Yeah,
and you know what? That's kind of how I fly too. I'm like, I just do this for fun, really. So I
go by
should
the
be
seat
more of
of
a
your pants,
stickler.
you know.
But
Aldrin had an echo, but we were able to work through that and figure it out. And, like, the good thing is, most of my guests that I have on, they're good sports, because this is new to them too. A lot of people don't really live stream, and everybody uses different software. So this is one of the needs, to have a universal software. And not everybody wants to use StreamYards, because some people, I think, like to have a certain custom flair to their presentation, and not every software lets them do that. So it's cool to see more options like this come out.
yeah, and this I'd love to hear what people think in the chat, because this is the first time. If anybody's watched or listened to Speed Dial for the last, I've done it. I did it for 8 weeks in a row, and then I missed last week. I apologize for that. I just couldn't make it happen. So this is episode number 9, week number 10 of doing this.
So,
I'd love to hear in the chat what people think about this with video, because part of the appeal before was it was more like a podcast, but
right.
really I feel like this is just so much
It's
better. Like there's so much more
people
of a
people
personal
like to
connection.
see people like to
Yeah.
see your face, because, like, Billy and I, when we do our podcast, by the way, Flight Time Podcast, shameless plug. We just
Yeah.
released a new episode, so Flight Time Podcast. So if anybody has a link to that, I know there's a lot of people that do listen to it there. We are working on a new format to try to, like, add depth to audio. But one of the things is setting up a camera and filming, and then me having to send files to Billy, where I have to get files from him. It's a
Right.
cumbersome thing. So we figured out, well, audio is the easiest way to go. It's also the easiest way for us to distribute it to multiple platforms. But people like to see your expressions and like to see people's faces. Like, they want to connect to somebody. So I
Well,
think it's important sometimes to do that.
audio too for me. I love to throw on a podcast when I'm cutting the grass, right, or when I'm
Yeah.
driving, or when just sometime or doing the dishes. Like I love audiobooks, and I love so. But one of the cool things about this particular and Urban says he likes it. That's good. I saw a few people saying they liked this version, and the developers are watching, as I understand it, because they're really interested to see how this goes tonight. So
For
far,
sure.
it's been great, but I wanted to say that the nice thing about this is I can actually download the audio file directly from my phone as an MP3, a high quality MP3, and then
See,
post
that's
that
and that's
afterward.
and that's convenient, because I know I do so, like, for my company that I work for during the day, I do the webinars, and then we take those webinars and we use them on YouTube.
Right.
And one of the my boss and I have been going back and forth was, well, do we record separate audio? Because the audio, the hertz that it records at, it sounds more like it's a phone, even though we're using professional equipment.
Right.
It sounds like we just talked on the phone. So it sort of sucks. So if you can get high quality audio out of something like this, then it makes it all the more worth it, and it's so much easier to produce a good show and something that is watchable
or listenable, right? I mean, if it's
listenable, yeah.
something that you can put on podcasting platforms. My wife's big on podcasts, and she keeps telling me I've got so much great content, so many interviews that I should do a podcast. So I will.
It's the easiest way to do this.
So I also wanted to real quick plug a couple of things I'll be doing this week. On Tuesday, I will be on with Sean on Geekvarna.
Okay.
And that will be Tuesday at 3 p.m. Central Time, I believe. It's in the afternoon Central Time. So, and I think he's doing that so that he can do it UK time. He goes live at like 9 or 10 p.m. over there. So I'll be on with Sean with Geekvarna, who I've seen in the chat here. I will also be on Drone Therapy on Wednesday. They are celebrating their 100th episode of Drone Therapy, which is pretty awesome.
I'm popping in there.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
I told myself pop in before I get drunk. I mean, go to Drone Brews.
Right. So that'll be fun. And then Friday night, we're gonna do at 7 p.m. my normal first Friday time slot. I'm gonna do the thing with Sean, or well, not Sean, Oz by Drone. Sorry, lots of Oz's.
Okay.
With Greg, with Oz by Drone, we're gonna do the thing where people tune in. I don't know if you've seen this, but you can actually. He sends you a code, you put it into your phone, and then you can fly your drone, and you get a live shot of it from around the world. So that's kind of fun.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah. So all of that said, looking forward to a great week of this. I want to say thank you to Ken, OriginaldoBo, for tuning in and being here tonight. Much appreciate you being the guinea pig on this. I think it worked out great.
Glad I woke up in time.
I am very glad too. Otherwise, it was just gonna be me yakking for an hour. And no, we don't want that to happen. So
nick of time.
Can we try something real quick before you go? I want to see if I can actually add somebody to this.
You can add.
It'll be a surprise. It'll be a surprise. Let's see if I can actually do this. All right. I'm not even going to tell the person, but I think the person is in the chat. So let's see if this works.
Sean.
Yeah. So basically, what happens when I do this, it creates an invite with a link, and that link is available for 9 minutes or 10 minutes, and then it expires. So it's counting down right now. So yes, it is Sean Oz. Actually, you nailed it. Mel's there. I can add Mel. Sean, if you don't pick up soon, I'm going to add Mel.
Sean is old faithful, old reliable, man. I call Sean and be like, "Hey, I need you." There he is. Like,
hey. You caught me right before I went off to work.
Wow,
you don't work.
Crazy light.
You got to give the air quotes when you say work, Sean.
Yeah, I work.
I do work. I draw pictures on people.
Filming streams and drawing pictures on people.
When I'm out there in Colorado, I'll let Sean tattoo me.
Yeah, there we go. That's better.
It's very loud wherever you are, Sean. Where are you at a rave?
No, I'm just in the kitchen.
Oh, every day's a rave at your place.
I got a loud kitchen.
So how did it work on your end? Did you just suddenly see a? You got a text?
I got a text message, and I was listening. The whole thing as a podcast as I was getting ready for work, and then jumped in the chat right before I left again. So it's cool that it's video because you can still listen to it as a podcast.
Yeah,
but,
go ahead.
Is it sent me that text link? I clicked it, and then of course it made my window go small of the video, but I couldn't click on the allow from the text because the video was still up. So I had to close the video, and then I was able to click it. That's why it took me a second to get in because I was like tap tap tap, and it wouldn't allow me to join you guys.
What did you drink? Coffee or something? Why are you so hyper?
I'm always like this, dude.
Oh, actually,
yeah. You should see him. You should see him in the summertime or in the wintertime when he's snowboarding. He's really up there. Come on, guys! This is a guy who stays up late most of the time, but he would get up at the crack of dawn to get out on the slopes.
We
100%.
we shared a hotel room. He's up at like 6 a.m. He's like, "Hey man, hey, you going out for breakfast?" I'm like, I'm still like trying to wipe my eyes out. I'm not even like fully functional yet.
Okay, so the behind the scenes on that is like today I was up at like probably 7. Just because I'm up doesn't mean I'm functioning usually. The mountain's closed. I have nowhere to go. So I'm sitting in bed, twiddling on my phone, going, I really should be editing or doing something.
I do that too. I'm not being productive. Every
Well,
time I'm not productive, it's a sad feeling.
Sean, your videos of, if anybody hasn't checked him out yet, the videos we did at your dad's ranch. You went out there, right, Ken? To his dad's ranch?
Dude, it's awesome.
Pretty awesome.
Lots
so
of rattlesnakes though. It's scary.
Well, we ran into was cows and cow prizes.
Cow patty. Yeah.
I ran my skateboard right over one of those.
We did tracking. We did tracking on the drones through those trees and stuff. Just super rock solid. I mean, that was a blast. But I was going to say your video turned out great. If you want to see the Skydio do something pretty amazing, you got to go watch his video of the automatic landing. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, you know, the Skydio, when we were both going through there on our boards at the same time, that one shot where the road sort of curved and we came around, that shot was so good. Just so good.
And then it like flipped around. It just went through so fast. Yeah, no, that was awesome. All right, man. Well, we just wanted to say hi. We know you're going to work.
Yeah, no worries, man. Yeah, I'd love to stay in chat, but I do have to pack all this stuff. I believe you can tell I'm sort of doing that at the same time.
I know you're like disappearing.
All right.
Yeah, sorry guys, I'm packing up to go to work. So
all right, you're gonna be the first person I ever hang up on this program. So bye.
Awesome. Hello.
Wow, it's sort of an abrupt hang up.
Yeah, that was.
I feel like they could do like a little transition, like to make the hang up. Like it felt like we just slammed the phone down on Sean.
Yeah, I did. That was what I intended. Totally intentional.
It's like convenient though.
It's Jesus. Like, dude, when you're talking, do you ever talk to your parents or somebody, and then you say goodbye, and then they have like 10 more things to say, you know, and it's like
because I know he's not watching my dad. My dad, he I always joke with him that like when I talk to him, it's like he's buffering, like he's on dial-up. Because he, like I always say, I joke around. He did a lot of acid, but he's like slow at talking. And I'm like, my thing is, my wife will say, you always say the same thing. I got a jet. I got a jet, Dad. I'll talk to you later. I got a jet. And I just sort of just hang up.
Oh, okay. So you do the abrupt hang up.
I got a jet. So,
okay.
You know, but that, yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool that you can, all I had to do was push, there's a button at the bottom that says invite. And then as long as I have the person's phone number, I can just hit it and it just goes straight to the phone. I'm really digging it,
man. It's going to like opens the door for so much new process because StreamYards is cool. But if you guys are using your phones, I mean, the quality coming out of the phone is really good. I'm using my MacBook and I'm thinking to myself, it looks like I'm looking at it through a potato. You guys are using your phones, which the quality looks excellent out of that. So, I mean, it's going to be cool for, you know, people to be able to do these live streams, you know, sort of co-host things like this and keep it super simple.
Yeah. And I think for people who don't live stream, I mean, certainly I will say one thing about COVID is it has made a lot more people interested in watching and doing it. And again, guys, I'm going to wrap it up because I usually try to make this an hour and I promised Ken I wouldn't blather on for too long, but Thank you again for joining. Be sure to check out Ken with Ken. Oh, wait a minute. Mel says he's in. Mel, it still says your invite expires. Let me see if I can push it and see what happens. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, Ken. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to see if I can bring Mel in for a second.
All right.
And then I'm going to wrap up. So thank you again for joining me. Yeah, I'm going to slam the phone on you in 3, 2, bye. Okay, let me see one more try here. See if I can get Mr. 400 AGL in the house. Going to send it to him. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, this is all stuff I'm just trying out. So, Mel, I just sent you a new invitation. So, click away from the old one and click the new one, and let's see what happens. The other Ken and Kelly show. I love that, Agent K. That's actually pretty funny. But we'd like ours to be the Ken and Kelly show and the other one to be the other one. All right, Mel. It still says invite pending. Invite pending. So, by the way, I want to just give a very quick shout out again to everyone who has signed up to come to Spin Down and brave the beautiful weather that's going to be up there, because I think September in Colorado is going to be fantastic. I've never actually been there in the fall. I've only been in there in the winter and in the summer. So I'm excited to see what it's like. If you want to come to Spin Down, tickets are going fast. All right, Mel, if I don't see you here in just a second, I'm going to put a close to this thing and we'll have to do it some other time. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining. Good to see you guys. Thanks for being in the chat. Thanks for supporting the channel. And I will see you guys next week. I'm actually considering moving this show to Fridays and just doing every Friday instead of doing some Fridays and some Saturdays. Well, I've been doing every Saturday. So let me know what you think about that. If you're into it, I will do it. But next Friday, again, Tuesday on Geekvarna, Wednesday on Drone Therapy, and Friday on Oz by Drone. Take it easy. Good to see you all.